All right, Class 6A. This should be one of the more interesting classes we'll talk about this week. There were some shakeups in our top 8. Remember, only 16 teams in Class 6A. So we only rank the top 8 in Class 6A and Class 7A. And we've got all the coverage you need for every class on the Arkansas Sports Network. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell if you want to know when ASN releases a new video for the Hogs or for high school. Go ahead and follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. We have all kinds of content on those platforms. And don't forget to hit all the notifications on those platforms as well. They will notify you whenever we post something new if you choose to do so. It'll help you stay up to date with the Hogs and with Arkansas high school sports. We're going to go ahead and get into the rankings here. Number 1, the resounding favorite to win the state title, the Greenwood Bulldogs, with the Archer brothers leading the way on each side of the ball. Cash on defense, Kane on offense, and they have playmakers around them to help them as well. Number 2, the Benton Panthers and Coach Brad Harris had some tough challenges in non-conference, especially in the Salt Bowl against Bryant, but they have been able to overcome their struggles, and they have looked pretty good against Class 6A opponents. Number 3, Shiloh Christian had a tough loss against Greenwood a couple weeks ago, but they gave the Bulldogs all they could handle, and they look like they could be a serious contender down the stretch. Number 4, Marion. The Patriots had a tough non-conference schedule that included a loss to 7A Conway, who is our number 1 ranked team in Class 7A, and they have been since the preseason. We knew that was going to be a tough game for Marion, but they have come out and played pretty well against their 6A opponents. Number 5, Mountain Home. This is a team that has some offensive firepower, but they've been bumped down to our number 5 spot this week after a loss to Shiloh Christian. Number 6, Catholic. They look pretty good under their head coach, Coach Cochran. He has led them to new heights so far this season, and they remain in our top 8. Number 7, Lake Hamilton and Coach Gillerin. We knew that it was just going to be a matter of time before he had them back in a good spot, and lo and behold, they are right here at number 7 in our rankings. Number 8, Fort Smith Southside. This is a program that moved down from Class 7A, and they look like they are still getting adjusted to some of their Class 6A opponents this season. Going to go ahead and get into the games here. 8 games this weekend in Class 6A. We'll start with Fort Smith Southside versus Shiloh Christian. Both teams 3-2. Shiloh Christian, they have moved up and haven't missed a beat, with the exception of their loss to Greenwood. Of course, if they play just about anybody else, except for maybe Benton, they would be 4-1 right now. But needless to say, this should be a pretty good game between 2 talented teams, 2 teams in our top 10. 2 Northwest Arkansas teams. I'm going to pick Shiloh Christian to win in a big way. I think that they're just too talented for Southside. West Memphis versus Marion. This is going to be a tough game for West Memphis, to say the least. Marion looks really good. They run the ball really well. Got some really talented players. Of course, Carius Kern, the offensive lineman, is their bulldozer. He always does really well for them. I'm going to pick Marion to get the victory in this game. El Dorado versus Sylvan Hills. I'm going to pick El Dorado to get the victory in this game. They look, like they can contend for a playoff spot this year, and Sylvan Hills just hasn't been able to put all of their talent together. There's never really been much of a dispute that Sylvan Hills has a lot of talent. It's just, can they build a foundation there and get that program turned in the right direction? And we will see in the coming months and years. Greenwood versus Siloam Springs. This one shouldn't be close. Should be Greenwood and the Bulldogs rolling to another victory. Mountain Home versus Russellville. Mountain Home, I'm going to pick them to win this game. It is at Russellville. I think it could come down to maybe a final drive. It's going to come down to the wire. But Mountain Home, I think, just has too much offensive explosiveness for Russellville to handle. But I would not be surprised if Russellville ended up pulling this one out and getting a victory either. Jonesboro versus undefeated Catholic. Um, I think that the road's just gonna get better for Catholic, and I think they're gonna pull off a victory this week over Jonesboro, who got the win against Sheridan in their last game. Speaking of the Yellow Jackets, Benton takes on Sheridan this week. Coach Kevin Kelly versus Coach Brad Harris, two of the bigger names in Arkansas high school football. I am going to pick Benton to get the victory. I think that they just have way more talent than Sheridan does, and I think Coach Kelly will win at Sheridan. But I think that's going to take him a couple of years to install his philosophies and to build the kind of program there that he wants. But I think he will win when it gets down to it. Van Buren versus Lake Hamilton. Um, I think that Lake Hamilton will win this game. Coach Gillerin always has a good game plan put together. They're 4-1 this season, and they've looked better every week, in my opinion. Um, I'm going to pick the Wolves to get the victory and move to 5-1. Well, that's going to do it for Class 6A. Kind of concise this week. It's going to be an interesting few weeks leading up to the playoffs as we are deep into the um, into the center of conference play and deep into the center of the high school football season. We're going to know who is a pretender and who's a contender before too long. And the playoffs will be here before we know it. Again, if you haven't already, subscribe to us right here on YouTube and follow us at AR Sportsnet on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And we will be sure to get the content out for everybody. We are excited to be covering the rest of the Arkansas high school football season and moving into basketball, baseball, and volleyball as well. We've got it all right here on the Arkansas Sports Network. For Carson Ward and the ASN Ranking Show, that's going to be all for now. Signing off.